بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
When Allah revealed, Allah and His Messenger sent blessings on the Prophet. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. The Prophet ﷺ taught the Muslims how to send salam on him. He said, say, Oh Allah, send blessings on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad as you sent blessings on Ibrahim and the Al of Ibrahim. Now this is very, very important that Ibrahim and Al Ibrahim are mentioned. There are two verses in the Qur'an where Allah talks about the Ummah. In one verse, which is in Surah Ali Imran chapter 3 verse 110, He says, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best Ummah that has ever been brought forth from the human species, from mankind. And in Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 143, He says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Thus we have made you the middle nation. And all the Mufassirun, Shia and Sunni, say that Ummatan Wasata means the best Ummah. This is the meaning of Ummatan Wasata, the tafsir of it. Why? لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. So that you may be witnesses over all mankind. وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And Rasul will then be a witness over you. Now, when you read Sunni tafsir, what they say is that the Muslims are the best ummah because they are the middle nation amongst the monotheists between Jews and Christians. The Jews have taken rituals and forgotten the spirituality of religion, and the Christians have taken a spiritual idea and left Sharia and the laws. The Muslims have taken both, and therefore they are a middle nation. And therefore the Muslim Ummah shall bear witness over the Jews and Christians on the Day of Judgment, and then the Prophet will bear witness on the Muslim Ummah. Now, I want you to park these thoughts and ideas in your mind for a moment. Okay. Now, the first thing we observe when we read the Qur'an is that Allah, when He talks about all His guides, they all seem to be related by blood. In Surah Ali Imran, chapter 3, verse 33, He says, إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل إمران على العالمين. Allah has selected, istafa from Mustafa means to select. Allah selected Adam and Nuh, and then He selected the progeny of Ibrahim and the progeny of Imran over all of humanity and mankind. The surah doesn't end. ذُرِّيَّةً بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. All of them descendants from descendants, some related to the other as descendants, and Allah is all hearing and all knowing. Now listen to this, it's a longer passage. This is in Surah Al-An'am, chapter 6, verses 83 to 87. تِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ. It continues from the previous verse and says, that was our proof that we gave Ibrahim over his people. نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتْ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. We elevate in status whomever we please. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. Your Lord is all wise and all knowing. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ إِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ. And we gave Ibrahim, Ishaq and Yaqub. كُلًّا هَدَيْنَا. All of them we guided. وَنُوحًا هَدَيْنَا min qabl. And Nuh as well we guided before. Hadayna min qabl. Wa min dhurriyatihi. And from the descendants and progeny of Ibrahim, Dawuda wa Sulaymana wa Ayyuba wa Yusufa wa Musa wa Harun. Wa kadhalika najzil muhsinin. And this is how we reward those who do good. Wa Zakariya wa Yahya wa Isa wa Ilyasa kullum min as-salihin. All of them from the righteous ones. وإسماعيل ويسع ويونس ولوطا وكلا فضلنا على العالمين. All of them we gave excellence over the whole of humanity and the world. Now, وَمِنْ آبَائِهِمْ. And from their fathers, وَذُرِّيَّاتِهِمْ. And from their descendants, وَإِخْوَانِهِمْ. And from their brothers, وَاجْتَبَيْنَاهُمْ. We selected them. وَهَدَيْنَاهُمْ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And then we guided them onto the right path. When you see what Allah is saying, He is saying that guidance is not just I pick someone randomly and say I'm going to make you a prophet. There is something to be said about the DNA of a prophet, the genealogy, the bloodline, the shajar. So when he created the human species, what he's saying is, in this species, I have taken one line of descent, and from this, their fathers, their brothers, their sons, I pick out and I guide them and give them excellence over all humanity. The early prophets, Adam, Nuh, and all, when they came, the world kept flip-flopping between obedience to God and disobedience. By the time Ibrahim a.s. came, the world was steeped in idol worship. Ibrahim is called the father of monotheism. He is the champion of Tawheed. He stands up alone and fights the whole world to revive the idea that there is only one God, the idea of Tawheed. Which is why in one verse of the Qur'an, Allah refers to Ibrahim as a nation unto himself. That Ibrahim was an ummah in himself. Ibrahim was constantly being tested and constantly surrendering to Allah. And his Islam was constantly being elevated. He was thrown into the fire, he was asked to slaughter his son, he was asked to leave his wife and a son in a desert without water. He is constantly being tried because he is being purified and brought closer to Allah. And then Allah says all the descendants are from the dhurriyyah of Ibrahim. Now, as Ibrahim was being elevated, he had one thing that constantly preoccupied him, and that was that in my descendants there should be others who are like me. Now, we see, for example, in one place in the Qur'an, Allah says that we gave Ibrahim and others from his descendants lisana sidqin, that when they spoke they had the ability to convey the truth. But we see elsewhere that Ibrahim asks Allah, وَاجْعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ, that, oh Allah, keep this tongue that speaks the truth in my posterity as well. When Allah tried him, and he asked him to slaughter his son, and he came out successfully, now Allah says, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ, and your Lord tried Ibrahim with some words. فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ, and he fulfilled those trials and those promises. Now Allah said to him, قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا, O Ibrahim, I now make you an imam over people. He should have showed gratitude to Allah and said, elevate my status higher. Immediately, without a pause, what does Ibrahim reply? He says, قَالَ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, Oh Allah, will there be imams in my progeny as well? You see Ibrahim's preoccupation. Now Allah promises him that I will keep the imams in your progeny, but on one condition. قَالَ لَا يَنَالُ أَحْدِ الظَّالِمِينَ, the unjust from your progeny will not be imams. So the Banu Umayyah and Banu Abbas are descendants from Ibrahim. But this right away tells you that the hadith that says that the Prophet said that the rulers after me who are unjust are valid rulers cannot be true, because the ahad of Allah cannot reach the zalimeen. And Imam Jaffer as-Sadiq says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اتَّخَذَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ نَبِيًّا قَبْلَ أَن يَتَّخَذَهُ رَسُولًا. Allah made Ibrahim a Nabi before he made him a Rasul. وَاتَّخَذَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَسُولًا قَبْلَ أَن يَتَّخَذَهُ خَلِيلًا. And he took Ibrahim as, he made him an apostle, a messenger, before he made him a friend. And after he had made him a friend, he tried him. And after he had tried him, then he said, قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. So this was a very high rank. It was higher than after Ibrahim had become Nabi, Rasul and all that. At that point he is being made an Imam. Now, in Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 127 to 129, Allah paints a very graphic picture where He shows us that now Ibrahim was tested with slaughtering Ismail, and Ismail survived, and Ismail has grown up to be a young man. Now Allah tells Ibrahim, go to Mecca and restore the Kaaba. Now, the picture here is Ibrahim and Ismail are building the Kaaba. Ibrahim is standing on a stone, Maqam Ibrahim. Ismail is passing him the stones, and Ibrahim is placing them and building the Kaaba. And as he is doing it, he is praying to Allah. Now listen to this. وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْقَوَائِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ. And when Ibrahim was raising the foundation of the house, وَإِسْمَاعِيل, and Ismail was with him. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. And this is very beautiful. It doesn't say qala, because it is to show, to bring that graphic image into your mind, that while he is doing it, there is such intense submissiveness and humility, that while they're building, Ibrahim is saying, my Lord, accept this from us. Indeed, you are one who hears and knows. رَبَّنَا وَجَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ. Oh Allah, make me and my son Ismail, not Muslims, submissive to you. Give us a higher station of submission. You see, it doesn't say وَجَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ. It says مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ. And all the Mufassirun say, he is asking for a higher. It is not possible that at this point Ibrahim is asking Allah that make me and Ismail Muslims. Because Ismail is grown up now. He has already sacrificed Ismail. He has left Ismail and his mother in the desert. He has been thrown into the fire. He is not saying, make me a Muslim from a mushrik. وَجَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ. Make me and Ismail even more submissive to you. وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِنَا أُمَّةً مُسْلِمَةً لَكَ. And from our progeny as well, let there be an ummah that is also muslimatan lak. And Mufassirun will tell you from an Arabic grammar perspective, because it is one statement, therefore, in the same sense that Ibrahim was asking for him and Ismail to be muslimatan lak, in that same sense, he is asking that there should be an ummah from his progeny that is equally submissive to you. Because it is one statement, muslimatan lak. But he wants it to be an ummah that is from his dhurriyyah. You can see how preoccupied he is with the idea that it should remain in his progeny. وَأَرِنَا مَنَاسِكَنَا وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ رَبَّنَا وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ. And Allah send a messenger to these people who purifies them, teaches them the book. And that prayer is answered in Suratul Jum'ah. Now, Imam Jaffer as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi says, look, it is not possible to say that when Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا, we have made you a middle nation, that you may be witnesses over all mankind. And the Prophet may be a witness over you, that this refers to the whole ummah. He says to his companion, do you not know that amongst Muslims there are some who are so deceitful that you cannot trust them with a handful of dates? If they bear witness about a handful of dates, a sa'a of dates, their witness, their shahada is not trustworthy. And the ayat that says, and we made you a middle nation, ummatan wasata, litakunu shuhadai ala nas, it does not qualify it and say, we have made the righteous amongst you to be the best nation, that you may be witnesses over people. It says, all of this ummatan wasata shall be witnesses over people. So Imam as-Sadiq argues and says, it's not possible that it covers the whole Muslim Ummah. And then he goes to explain. He says, we, the Ahlul Bayt, we are the Ummatan Wasata. We shall bear witness over all the deeds of mankind. And the Prophet, our grandfather, shall bear witness to us. And it is we that Allah refers to when He says, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the best ummah that has ever been brought forth from mankind. Because when you look at all the verses where God talks of bringing forth prophets and excelling them over humanity, He is talking of an exclusive group. The proof that Imam as-Sadiq gives that this khayra ummatin is we the Ahlul Bayt and this ummatan wasata is we the Ahlul Bayt is that Ibrahim had prayed for this. That just as you make me and Ismail muslimatan lak, I am asking you, O Allah, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِنَا ummatan muslimatan lak. So that prayer of Ibrahim, that in my dhurriyyah there should be an ummah. The same word ummah that Ibrahim is praying for is in kuntum khayra ummah and وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ ummatan wasata. This is the Shia argument to say that you cannot make it universal and say the whole of humanity is pious. All the Muslim Ummah will be witnesses over mankind. This is an exclusive Ummah that is chosen from one lineage by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the guides for humanity and to be the witnesses over their actions, over whom the Prophet will bear witness, and they are the best of all of God's creation from His humanity. Now 2 more points on this. Allama Tabatabai in his Tafsir al-Mizan makes this point. He says, if you see the word as well, how Allah puts it, he says, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. Ukhrijat suggests pulling out, bringing forth. He says it gives the imagery of, it evokes the image of a nation that is being introduced by Allah, just like vegetation on the earth that is brought forth from Allah, where a similar term is used in another verse of the Qur'an. So it gives this idea that Allah Himself creates all of humanity, and from them He pulls out one nation and says to this nation that Ibrahim had asked me from his dhurriya, an ummah that is as submissive to me as he was, I shall make you that submissive nation. You are the best nation that has ever been brought forth for humanity, and you shall be its guides, and you shall be its witnesses, and the Prophet shall bear witness on you, and you shall then be my representatives to humanity. Now, to seal this argument, there is a verse of the Qur'an in Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 22, verse 78, where Allah says, وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ وَهُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ. He is talking to a select group of people. And the Muslims say he is talking to all the Muslims. But is he talking to all the Muslims? Listen to this. Allah says, and strive in the way of Allah. وَجَاهِدُوا فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ, as he deserves to be strove for. هُوَ اجْتَبَاكُمْ, it is he who has chosen you. وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ Millata abikum Ibrahim, the creed, the deen, the millah of your father Ibrahim. We are not all children of Ibrahim. We are all Muslims. We are all part of the Muslim Ummah. But we cannot all claim our father is Ibrahim. Allah is clearly saying He chose you. Ijtabakum millata abikum Ibrahim. Your father Ibrahim, huwa sammakum muslimin min qablu wa fi hadha. It is He who named you Muslims now and before. لِيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ شَهِيدًا عَلَيْكُمْ, so that the Prophet may be a witness over you. وَتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, and you may be witnesses over people. So that verse had said, you are the ummatan wasata, that you may be a witness over mankind, and the Prophet may be a witness over you. It just said ummatan wasata. This verse is saying so that the Prophet may be a witness over you and you may be a witness over people, but it is directly referring to them when saying your father Ibrahim. So it is not the whole ummah. So what we say now is this, that if you agree with us that the Imams after the Prophet are 12, and if you agree with the Qur'an that Ibrahim had prayed for an ummah that is as submissive to him as he was submissive to God, we present to you 12 Imams from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Bring your list of 12 Imams who are as submissive to Allah as Ibrahim was, and let us decide as brothers and sisters which of these 12 were as submissive to Allah as Ibrahim and Ismail were. And whoever we conclude on, by Allah, we will follow him and become one ummah. You don't even have to give 12 names. Just show us, because it's not possible that Allah did not answer the prayer of Ibrahim. In that same set of verses, He asked that send a prophet to these people, and Allah replied it. In Surah Jum'ah, He confirms that the prophet is the answer to Ibrahim's prayer. So we don't even ask for 12 names. We are saying only this much. Guide us to that ummah from the dhurriya of Ibrahim that is muslimatan lak, and we shall follow that.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد